Come on, let's go to work. That's it, Ellie. Shake it off. Let's go. Come on. Got to get to work. We got to sell those postcards. You ready, Lucy? Yeah? Okay. Ready, Ellie? Okay. Let's go in the office. Okay, before we really get into anything today, I have an announcement I need to make to all of you out there watching these videos. I've talked before in previous videos about my staff, Ellie and Lucy. You see Ellie here on the left. She's the mother, and here's Lucy over here on the right. She's the daughter, and the two of them are my staff. They help me here in the office to list and package and mail postcards and just keep everything moving along smoothly. But we had a staff meeting this week, and they informed me that they didn't think things were being done properly around here. They thought that I was grabbing a little too much attention since I'm the guy on the screen behind the mic, and they were just kind of left in the background. So they let me know that if their help was going to continue, some changes would have to be made. And so we have decided that they will be known henceforth as the Postcard Pups, and I am to try to feature them a little bit more prominently in the videos. So I told them I would do my best to accommodate their wishes. So even though they've been introduced to you, I'm going to reintroduce them to you again. Ellie and Lucy, the Postcard Pups, and you can look forward to them in our future videos. And they also said to let you know that they would welcome your comments if you agree with them that I'm an attention hog and they deserve more attention. Please send in your comments and convince me that we're on the right track here. So I'm glad we got that out of the way. So let's move on to the video. I apologize for this video being a little late. Normally I release these on Sunday, but yesterday, which was Sunday, I had opportunity to go take a look at some postcards that were for sale. I had been contacted by a dealer that I probably hadn't heard from in 10 years. Didn't know if he was still around the area, but kind of out of the blue, he got in touch with me and said he had some postcards to sell, so I couldn't pass that up. So I took a trip to see him. It's about an hour and a half drive each way, and then I spent a couple hours there looking at cards. And I will talk about that in a future video. I did purchase some, but it kind of took up my day, so I didn't have time to put this video together. So I again apologize for being late, but let's get to it today. To take a look at the sales for the week. This is sales for the 14th through the 20th of July. As you can see, we had total sales for the week of $4.59.70. There were 62 items sold. Average sale price on those was $7.41. A little bit of an off week. Typically, I like to do at least $500 for the week, if not more. But this was a little slow of a week, but we'll take what we can get. That's typical of eBay. You have highs and lows, but what really counts is what does it do over time? And it seems to be pretty consistent over time. Looking down here at the buyer insights, we see that one-time buyers pretty much made up 94% of the sales for the week, and repeat buyers made up 6% of the sales. So that's kind of interesting. But moving on to the actual items sold. First up, we have a military aircraft. This is a Navy A4D aircraft with a bullpup missile attached. This is a chrome era card. It was postally used 1964. And as always, military related postcards are good sellers. Next up, we have the Iron Age Antique Store in Ocean View, Delaware. Again, a a chrome era postcard. It's not used, as you can see there. That was listed for $5.95. I took an offer of $5 on that. Here we have the control room in a captured German submarine. Again, military related. Don't know what all that stuff is we're looking at, but that's what the inside of a German submarine looks like. Chrome era card, unused. That sold for $4.95. Here we have another lot. I've shown you these multiple times. I do sell these pretty frequently. This is a lot of 100 random mixed cards. Usually a mixture of town views, maybe a few greetings thrown in, some topical postcards. This lot of 100 sold for $29.95. Here we have the Ector County Courthouse in Odessa, Texas. A nice linen card. This was postally used in 1945, and it sold for $5.95. Next is the Hotel Gettysburg in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. This is a divided back era card. I cannot make out the date on that. I'm sure it's early 1900s. You can see some old vintage autos and even some horse-drawn vehicles in this picture. That postcard sold for $4.95. This is the hemicycle at the Mount Washington Hotel in Bretton Woods, which is in the White Mountains of New Hampshire. I wondered what a hemicycle was. Well, a hemicycle is a semicircular object, and I guess they're referring to the room because this is definitely a circular feature here in the ceiling. But if you look closely, the room appears to be semicircular. So I guess that's what they're referring to. But that's an interesting interior view. And that sold for $5.95. Here we have some automobile advertising. This is a 1968 Buick Wildcat Custom Sports Coupe. Chrome era card. This one's unused. Here we have the company that was selling that, City Service Motor Corp in Lafayette, Indiana. Nice clean chrome card. That was listed for $5.95. Took an offer of $5 on that one. Here's another automobile advertising card. I believe the same buyer purchased both of these. This is a 1955 Nash Ambassador with the new Jetfire V8 engine. You can see this is also a chrome era card, but it's a fold-out card. You have a picture of the card there on the front. There's the mailing information, and then on the inside is some more information about the car, and there's also a personal message inside there. That again was listed for $5.95, and I took an offer of $5 on that. Here we have a real photo postcard. This is the county courthouse in Galena, Missouri. Kodak era roll photo, so that's at least 1950 or newer. Still a nice view. Sold for $5.95. And just to point out, this card was listed in 2018, so that's been sitting in my store for 6 years, but it sold. I never give up on cards. They sit there until the day they sell, or the day I expire, either whichever comes first. Here we have the Genevieve Guest House in Ocean City, New Jersey. Not Ocean City, Maryland, which is also a pretty good seller. Ocean City, New Jersey. This is a linen era card, nice and clean. You can see it's postally unused, and it's colorful. I like colorful cards, and that one fits the bill. Next, we have the Missouri River Bridge at Jefferson City, Missouri. Here we see what looks like to be a trolley crossing that bridge. This is an older card. This has got a lot of crap going on the back here. Looks like it was glued into an album or something at one time. It was postally used in 1916. And I would be hesitant normally to list a card with this kind of damage on the back, but I thought I'd give it a try, and sure enough, it sold for $4.95. So somebody thought that view was more interesting than the damage on the back. Next up, a restaurant. This is Deanie's Seafood Restaurant in Boston, Massachusetts. I find restaurants to be good sellers. This is a chrome era card. See a lot of information there on the back about Deanie's. It's unused. And if you notice in the title, it says restaurant number 1. That's because I have this exact same view of Deanie's restaurant. And the only difference is the interior is different. There's different colors and things. It looked like it'd been remodeled. Now, I don't know which view is the newer one, but they're of the same exact viewpoint, just different times, obviously, with different decor. I thought that was interesting. Next up, we have a greeting from Coney Island. Here we have a romantic couple at Coney Island. You can see some of the attractions going on in the background. That's a neat Victorian era type view. You can see it is a divided back era. It's embossed. You can see the outline of the view on the front here on the back. But a really attractive card that sold for $5.95. Here we have the First National Bank in Wood River, Nebraska. Now, this is one of 4 cards that the same buyer purchased. A really nice view there of the bank, and you can see some horse-drawn equipment here in front of the building. It's a divided back era card. It's supposedly unused. $19.95 was the original price. I took an offer of $17. And as I said, he also bought, I believe, it's 3 other cards, all Nebraska cards on that order. But this was the most interesting card of the 4. Next is a view in Avonmore, PA. This is the Hotel Wilson, and this is a laminated reproduction card. I may have mentioned these before. You can see this card was actually made from or it was made from an actual postcard, which was copied and then it was enlarged slightly and it was laminated. I have hundreds of these that I got from a local dealer, and I believe they came from a longtime collector who actually took cards from his personal collection and made these. I don't know if he made them with the intent to sell them or it was just something he liked to do. But the reason I sell them is even though they are reproductions, and I normally don't deal in reproductions, in the case of these cards, uh, many of these really have nice views that are hard to find. And for a collector who is interested in a particular topic or a place, this could be an opportunity to have a view that would ordinarily be really difficult to locate. So many of the scenes on these cards are really attractive, and so I think they're worthwhile taking a look at. This one was listed for $5.95. I took an offer on that for $4.50. Here is a view in Hamilton, Massachusetts. It says the meet at MEET, not meet like you eat, but meet like get together, at the Myopia Club. And I added the word fox hunt because that's what that appears to me that this meet is. We have gentlemen dressed in fancy clothes on horses, and we got some hunting dogs here. So I assume this is a fox hunt. This is a divided back era card. It was mailed in 1910, and it was listed for $5.95. I took an offer for $4 because when I received the offer, I was at first reluctant to lower the cost, but when I look at it, it does have some condition issues. And so based on that, I accepted an offer of $4. Next up, we have the beach, Wrightsville Beach in Wilmington, North Carolina. Beach scenes are always good sellers. This one is no exception. This is a linen era card. It's unused, as you can see, and you have lots of people there at the beach that day. That one sold for $7.95. Up next, another military card. This is a view at Sewart Air Force Base in Tennessee. Here you see a Hercules C-130 turboprop jet aircraft. That's a big plane and has some military personnel gathered there in front of it. This is a chrome era card. It was postally used. I don't see the. Oh, here it is, way up in the corner. 1968, that was mailed. Again, another nice military view, which military is good seller. That one sold for $5.95. Here we have another lot of postcards. This is a lot of 50 random mixed continental size postcards. I offer these up until a couple years ago. I wouldn't even have looked at a continental card. But over the past couple of years, I've seen that there's a kind of a gain in interest in this size card. And I offer these as unused because I get a lot of people who ask for unused cards that actually want to use them to mail them. Seems like today, if you were to go out and find some postcards in a store and buy them, they're rather expensive to buy individually. So this is actually a pretty good deal here, 50 cards for $20, getting them at a price that you couldn't buy them at a store, and you can actually use them to mail. In this case, the buyer asked me, because I do offer it in my item description, if you have a specific interest, town, topic, whatever, that you would like to have cards of, I will try to fulfill it if I have enough cards to do so. In this case, the buyer here wanted 50 cards of animals and plants. Now, I don't get a lot of requests or interest in animal or plant postcards, and so this was an opportunity to move some cards that probably would otherwise sit around. And I was able to come up with 50 cards for them. So they're in the mail, so they haven't received them yet, but I think they'll be happy when they get those. This lot of 50 sold for $19.95. Moving on, we have a view at Stone Harbor, New Jersey. It's a greetings with, you can see the picture there of some rocks sticking out into the water. Looks like some people possibly fishing there. That card was listed for $4.95. I took an offer, I believe, of $4.95 on that. Next up is a lot of 8 cards from the same buyer. I'm just going to move through these quickly. One buyer bought 8 cards, which is a nice sale for me. First up, we have George Washington. Then we have a nice Thanksgiving view. I believe this had a gel finish on it. It was in a nice shape. Next up, another George Washington. Back when we celebrated George Washington's birthday. We don't do that anymore. It's just President's Day now. Next up, we had an Easter greeting. There's some kids with a basket of colorful eggs and a sheep. A Christmas greeting, a couple kids in front of a Christmas tree with a whole bunch of toys. Another nice looking greeting card. Next was a Thanksgiving card with a turkey. Here we have a New Year card with some kids celebrating the New Year from a bell tower. And I think this is last. Yeah, the last card is another George Washington birthday card. And as I said, this buyer bought 8 cards. The total sales for that was $40.90. That was a nice sale. Next up, we have a view of State Street in Kerwinsville, PA. This is an undivided back card, postally used in 1907. A nice old street scene. This was listed for $9.95, and I believe I took an offer on this for $6.95. Next up, Keep Them Flying, another military related card. There's a series of these with different aircraft on them. This particular one is a North American B-25 bomber. I have several of these. Uh, this one, it's a linen era card. You can see it's unused. Some more military related printing are on the back. Nice looking linen card. This one sold for $7.95, and I still have another one in the store for sale. Here we have Landis Avenue in Vineland, New Jersey. Real busy scene there. Lots of vintage automobiles parked and on the street, moving on the street as well. This is a white border era card. It was mailed in 1936. This card was also originally listed for $7.95, and I took an offer of $6 on that one. Next up, we have the Soldier Souvenir Letter. This is a postcard, but not your traditional postcards. It's a little folder that you can open up and has some other views inside. There's the back cover with best wishes and greetings from the person here, probably a soldier who sent it home to their family. Here's some of the things that are on the inside. There's like cartoon drawings. And this one here, down here at the bottom, it says basic drill on the Mexican border. So it's dated 1917. That would be World War I era card. So that's what's inside there. Interesting, again, not your typical postcard, but military related. That sold for $4.95. Up next, we have a continental size card. This is the Dixie Stampede Restaurant in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee. Again, up till just not that long ago, I wouldn't have even entertained the idea of listing a continental size card, but I see they're beginning to catch on a little bit. If you have something interesting, I thought this was interesting, and sure enough, it's sold. You can see it's unused, and that sold for $4.95. Okay, here we have a beach scene, a daily scene on the beach at Santa Monica, California. Linen era card. We can see it is postally unused, 1949, or postally used, I'm sorry, 1949. And here's the view. Again, I've mentioned it before. Beach scenes, very popular. This is a nice one, pretty colorful with all the different umbrellas. That sold for $5.95. And I think, yes, this is the last card. This is a space related card. This is NASA's Project Apollo, showing three different configurations. We have Earth orbit, circumlunar, and lunar landing. This is a Chromera card, unused. As I said, space related. Those seem to be popular as well. This one sold for $5.95. And that's pretty much it for what sold this week. All right, it's time to take a look at some more cards from my collection. But first, I'd just like to say I apologize for the glare in my glasses. I can't seem to find a position where I can totally eliminate that. So you have to put up with that. Also, I'm wearing a black shirt today, which kind of makes me look like a big floating head. So I hope you won't be alarmed or scared by that. I am not actually a floating head. I do have a shirt on here. You can see it. And, but it does kind of blend into the background. And I also apologize if you see me like tilting my head back and squinting. It's only because I'm half blind and I can't see the screen very well. So I'm usually squinting to try and see things or read things on the screen. So just accept that you're dealing with a half blind, fat old man here, and you're just going to have to cut me a break. So, anyway, as I said, time to look at some more cards from my personal collection. As I've mentioned, I have several different collections. Greensburg, Pennsylvania being one of them. That's my hometown. So that's what we're going to look at it today. Got a few more, dug a few more of those out of the album. And I'm going to start here with this first one. This is Main Street looking north. I have shown you some other views, but I have a lot of different views of Main Street from different perspectives. This is a nice one. I have mentioned before, I love street scenes with old automobiles and storefronts and signage, and this fits right into that. You can see these cars. This is a white border card, so that's in the late teens, early 20s, up to the 30s, and these cars are certainly of that era. And you can see over here to the right some storefronts. There's the 5 and 10 cent store and some other signage. So all in all, that makes for a pretty cool postcard. Next up, we have another street scene. This is a less busy street. This is a bird's eye view of Greensburg, taken from a hill on the west side of town. This is actually Pittsburgh Street looking towards town. You can see far in the distance here the courthouse that we've seen in a lot of other Main Street views. And what's interesting about this card is here you see a couple people coming up the hill on horseback. That's not something I see much anymore on the streets of Greensburg. But here we have a couple people on horseback, which was fairly common at that time. This card is a early 1900s. I believe it was postmarked about 1909. And also visible on the scene are the trolley tracks going right down the middle of the brick street. So that's a scene that is pretty much vanishing from most towns. The brick streets are pretty much gone, and the trolley tracks are gone. And but this card preserves that time pretty well. Next up, another street scene. This is a different street. This is Pennsylvania Avenue, which is one block down from Main Street. This is again looking north. Nice variety of things going on here. We see a bicycle parked here at the bottom left. Here's a horse-drawn wagon. Here's a vintage automobile. We see some people walking on the street, some more horse-drawn vehicles in the distance there. And again, there's a lot of storefronts and some signage to see. It's pretty colorful, and it's just a real nice looking card. Here we have another street scene. This is East Pittsburgh Street, where it merges with uh, Otterman Street, and they come together at an area here. This is a Y. This street goes off to the right here. This is a Y-shaped area, and it's known as the Point, obviously. Most of the buildings visible in this picture are long gone. This scene looks vastly different today than it does in this real photo. But an interesting view. Again, you can see the brick streets, and there's some trolley tracks. Again, all things that have pretty much disappeared from town at this point in time. Next up, another real photo. This is a bird's eye view of Greensburg looking. I'm not sure exactly what direction we're looking here, probably kind of east. And I believe this view was taken from Seton Hill College campus, which is today Seton Hill University, but it has a kind of a good vantage point to view a large part of downtown Greensburg. Again, you can see in the center in the distance the courthouse, which is kind of our reference point for most pictures. Here we have the Penn Albert Hotel, another large building, and just to the left of it is the railroad station. Again, nice view. Just mentioned the railroad station. This is a view at the railroad station, and this is actually uh, an older version of the railroad station. This card, I believe, is postmarked 1909, and it reads 10th Regiment at Greensburg en route to San Francisco. So I'm not aware of any wars going on at the time of 1909, but uh, again, these soldiers are being sent out to San Francisco for some reason or another. And you can see that the area here around the waiting is just jammed packed full of people. So whatever the event was, lots of people turned out. I guess mostly family, I would guess, there to send off their relatives and loved ones. But pretty jam-packed day at the station. Next up, different view of railroad station. This is the railroad station that replaced the one that we were just looking at, which was actually to the rear of the building here a little bit, and it was updated and enlarged and expanded when this station was built. Here you see the main area of the station here where this tower is. And you might notice there's some yellow cars out here. These are yellow taxis. There was a taxi company that had its headquarters in the station here as well. And my family has a little bit of history with the railroad station. My grandfather worked as a taxi driver here. It was about the same time frame. I actually do have a picture of him and some friends standing in front of one of their taxis right in front of the station here. But my grandfather worked there as a taxi driver, and my grandmother worked over here in this building where the taxi office is as a dispatcher. So my grandfather on my dad's side was a taxi driver. My grandmother on my mother's side was a taxi dispatcher. So this is a pretty cool picture and has some meaning to me especially. All right, let's leave the railroad station and we're going over to a couple blocks away to the post office. This is the United States Post Office, or at least it was at the time of this picture. This picture here looks to be like in the late 40s, early 50s, possibly. At the time, this was the post office. Since then, a new post office was built directly across the street here, and this building now serves as the library. Next up, we have the YMCA in Greensburg. This building is on the corner of Maple Avenue and Pittsburgh Street. This building is still there today, and this building is still the YMCA. So not a lot has changed uh, in this building since that time. Whiteboard or picture. This is probably sometime in the late teens or early 20s. Another notable building in Greensburg. This is the Manus Theater. This is on the corner of Pennsylvania Avenue and Otterman Street. And this theater is still in existence today. It's changed a little bit on the exterior, but not too much. And today it houses the Palace Theater, which is a very busy venue. They have attractions there just about every week. And so it's still serving its original function, although the name has changed. Next up, we have the West Penn Interurban Station. This was, as you can see, the trolley. This was a trolley station. And it later, this being a whiteboarder card, it later became the bus station as the trolleys were kind of phased out and buses became a more common mode of transportation. The bus station was housed in here. Again, this building does still exist today. It serves as City Hall and the police station. And last up for today's selection of my collection is the Westminster Presbyterian Church. This is at the corner of Westminster Avenue and Pittsburgh Street. And what is neat to me about this one is I don't know if my mouse is showing up here. If you can see my mouse here, if I go right to the very right of the corner of the church, you'll see the peak of a roof here. You can barely see this little bit of this house over here. This house was my grandfather and grandmother's house, and I spent a lot of time there as a little kid with sleepovers and things like that. So I have a lot of memories of this house over here. It is no longer in my family. Both my grandparents have passed away, and the house has since been sold and has new owners. But I think when I found this card and I noticed this little peek at my grandparents' house, that was exciting to me, and I'm happy to have that in my collection. So that's a look again at some of my personal collection. I'm going to do some more. I like to include it in every video. And as I said previously, I'm going to try to rotate my interests. So next week, I'm probably going to feature again some Lincoln Highway cards. So look forward to that. Just as a reminder, I want to let you know that the other day I put out a video with the results of my recent postcard purchase. I had shown you some postcards that a dealer brought me. I had opportunity to buy them, and we did get together and make a deal on that. So that video goes into really good detail about what all was in that and what I purchased. So if you're interested, please take a look at that. So that's all for this week. I thank you all very much for watching. I want to thank everybody out there who has subscribed and who has been watching my videos. And those of you who have made comments, I really appreciate your comments. I'm surprised for just having been on YouTube for just 2 months now, the amount of reaction I'm getting. I really appreciate that, and lets me know that you guys out there are interested in postcards. And not that I didn't know that already, but you're interested enough to hear about it from me. So that's what is really incredible. So thank you again to everyone who subscribed and liked and commented and watched. Really appreciate your support. And thank you, thank you, thank you. We'll see you next time.